Hey, welcome back everyone. Matt and Dave back out here at our 1860s house rebuild project. Today we're going to get started on putting in the new beam in the center of the building. So we got 8 plies of LVL to get in. So let's get inside and we will get started by taking out the old beam there and start putting in the new. First project up is replacing this not very well made beam that is in here. So there's some 2x10s. They're not even tight, they're blocked in between, and then there's another 2x4 or something up top. I haven't actually been up there to look at it, but that all comes out, and then the floor joist will be supported by LVLs built up to be 5¼ inches wide by 14 inches deep. And then there's 2 approximately 16 feet long sections that will be supported in the middle with continuous load down to the foundation. We'll replace that mess of, what do we got here? A couple 2x4s and like a 4x6, or is that 2 different pieces? So like a 4x4 and some 2x4s, kind of a mess there. So we'll get started cutting this out and then get the new LVLs in here. So nothing complex about taking this apart, just cutting sections at a time off and letting gravity do the work. Just don't stand under it. So that not well put together 2x10 beam came down pretty quick and easy as expected, and it looks like there was originally a wall here. The 2x4 top plate is still there, and all of these are kind of notched to match it. So there was probably a wall removed at some point and opened up, because that 2x10 was clearly much newer lumber than everything else that is up there. So that's almost out of the way. We'll be able to prep for the new LVLs, and you can probably hear the rain falling. Today the remnants of Hurricane Beryl are moving through the St. Louis area, so rain all day long. I am glad we're working inside today, although it is limiting what we can do a little bit, because we need to get materials in that are out and around, and maybe not the best day for that, but we will keep working on the beam here and then start a little bit of the disassembly on the back porch, which is also somewhat limited in what we can do, but dry tomorrow, so we'll keep moving. Next up, we need to find out what we have as far as support for the center column for the new beam for the second floor joists. And currently the old column came down on that double joist there and went through this 2x4 with some stuff scabbed on, which comes down and rests on basically nothing. So we're going to clear that out and get a proper footing in place, and we can get a better column than that, and we'll have direct load transfer all the way down. So we'll need to get some concrete out of the way, it looks like, and then the digging probably isn't too tough. This looks like pretty clean, loose dirt. So there may not have been any concrete under the split here, but there was a piece of wood. So I guess that was doing something, and because it was old wood, after 150 or 60, 70, however many years, it's really not rotten that badly. So it was still doing something. The soil, clay, whatever is under it should be pretty compact, so there was no sinking or anything, but we are not going to reuse that because we want this to last for another 160 years. So a proper footing will take care of that. So the wood in the floor here is almost like you would see a grade beam now. It goes in across through each center of the building, And then this front part was filled in with brick at some point, almost in a fachwerk style, where you have brick in between timbers. So neat little thing here. Doesn't probably provide that much actual additional support because the what is that, 6 to 8 inch beam there, and then with the columns every 4 feet or so, pretty well handles the load just fine. But neat to see that. And then in the back, it was never filled and some of the columns are missing, so we will need to re-support a little. The previous work done here has these walls already in place, so they pretty well carry the load of the floor joists. But with the new stairs coming in here, the basement stairs will come down here, so we will need a bit of additional support for that opening. So we got our footing dug here, and it was mostly clay, so it wasn't too bad. It was moist, so we were able to shovel through it pretty easily. Just need a short little form piece to hold it in. So the plans here call for 24 inch by 24 inch wide footings by 14 inches deep with 4 pieces of number 4 rebar, that's 1/2 inch rebar, running in each direction in the bottom third. So pretty simple, not too big, we didn't have to go too deep, that's always nice. And once we get that in place, we get to mix up concrete. It's always fun, but shouldn't be too much. Again, this isn't a huge hole. And then we are on our way up. So we got a nice humid, super humid day to be down in the basement to fill our footing hole up. We got our Quikrete bags, and because our access isn't awesome and we actually have to carry them in, we can't get the wheelbarrow through here. We got 60-pound bags because why kill ourselves, and then we got our handy dandy little mixing tray thing there. So we'll just mix up to the next to the hole, pour it in place, get our rebar in according to what is on the plans, and hopefully the concrete gets good and hard and we can get our post mounted on top. So we'll get some water and we'll get started on the mixing. So we are moving along with the mixing here, and not too bad. The 60-pound bags actually fit in that little tray pretty nicely and mix pretty quick, so can't complain about that. And then plans call for 4 bars each direction in the bottom third, so we're getting those in place right now, and then we'll keep on adding and we will be filled up in no time, hopefully. Oh, we are all filled in and leveled off, so now just need to leave it to cure and then we can drill our anchor in and get our post going up. So we can start prepping for the beam here. Just some minor adjustments to the pocket at the end. We're actually adding a ply because they initially had 12-inch LVLs under different plans. So it needs 4 plies of the 12-inch depth LVLs. So that comes to 7 inches wide total. And our pocket up there was actually pretty close to that. So just a minor adjustment. And then this whole length here has nails. So those need to be hammered out, cut off, whatever it takes, and then that will need some minor adjustment down at that end. And then we will also support the ends with columns, 6x6s, so the foundation is wide enough that we can cut a hole through the floor and bear direct to the foundation. So that should work out to be pretty simple. And then our center column, of course. So we'll get this all ready to go and then we'll start lifting into place. The footing we got in place last week is good to go now, so we will get our new support post in place. Looks like we do need to get some nails out of the way up there, but otherwise This should be pretty straightforward. X marks the spot, so we can anchor right there. And just interesting thing we noticed here, that that wall is a decent amount out of plumb. Doesn't really matter much at this point, just always interesting to see how buildings move around, because I'm sure it was built plumb originally. So we'll go ahead and drill this, and then we're finally going up. Now this should be pretty easy. I forgot to check the depth before we did this. Need a little more. That's better. Alright, all cleaned up. I think your impact's a little undersized, or I don't know what. Let's get a different one. So the nice thing about these Titans is they're removable and you can put them back in. So we're going to give this a second try. I cleaned the hole out a little better. Maybe that was the problem. Why is this not? There we go. Alright. I think it just needed a little more dust extraction. So, good to go. So the real key to success here was probably bringing the breaker bar. It scared it right into the hole. Okay, assuming our measurements are correct, this should go right in to place. Problem may be that it's usually a little off.
They have to go to a bigger one. Whoa! What happened there?
Keep it in there, the top sliding with it. Okay. Little tap. Is that a little tap?
Oh.
That's fine though, I think. Back a little. A little more. That's good. Another hit. Another. That looks good. Yeah, basically right on. And that looks like it needs to go probably like that. Yeah. Should have screw in it. Yeah, get a screw at the top and the bottom. We unfortunately forgot to bring any strong drive screws, so we'll have to come finish screwing this off later, but for the moment, a couple deck screws will hold it just fine. We're not loading weight on it quite yet, so tomorrow we'll take those bottom screws back out, put the strong drive screws in place, and then our handy dandy post cap connectors in place with the SD screws as well. And then this will be strong for hopefully 100, 150, whatever more years to come. Should be. Okay. Good on this for the moment. Yeah. I think this one's heavier.
I think it is too.
On a flat.
Yeah, I can only go so far.
It's either side or. Push this one out to this side. Alright. This one is massier.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, this one is heavier too.
They're getting heavy. This one feels lighter. Probably the split in the ply right there.
Oh, dirt in the face. But that
You're right. Too hot to think.
yeah, it is. It's too hot.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah. Well, when you come in and pick up work from someone else, you often question what they were thinking before you, and I really have no idea what they were thinking in this case. They brought the first set of LVLs into the basement for storage for some reason. Kind of a pain to start with since we needed them upstairs. But they also placed them in a corner and then put supports for their temporary shoring in the way. And then around this side, there's a wall through the door. So it wasn't the easiest to get the first piece out, but cutting it to size down here made it possible. Basically, we had just enough room to get between the 2x4s here and kind of finagle it out the door and around the side, and then through the window to get it into our space up top. So we will cut the rest down to size, work them out, and then get back out of this gross humid basement. So we got our first 4-ply section together, and this is the beams that were in the basement. So the one that was on the bottom, they hadn't put it up on any blocks, so it developed just a touch of a bow that you can probably see there. So we need to get that tightened up before we nail it all down the length. But otherwise, it went up pretty problem-free. We had to adjust the brick pocket just a touch to get it in, but otherwise it is basically assembled. It needs to go a little bit higher, and then we will start assembling this side, which hopefully we measured correctly and they butt together nicely. We're gonna find out soon. Well, we have all 8 plies up there now, all assembled, all nailed. So now we just need to get it up to the correct height and supported in the middle, and then additional support at the ends. So we are working a little slow today. The temperature is not too terrible yet. It's in the 90s, but the dew point is about 76, 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you know anything about that, you know that means it is super humid. So we are sweating a lot, drinking a lot of water, just trying to keep ourselves in good shape. We'll probably end early today, but now that we got the hardest part probably taken care of, just need to figure out exactly how we're gonna line things up, and we need a straight line across. So we will get started on that now. So a little handy tip here, we were working on getting these beams centered over our mark on the floor, and we forgot a plumb bob today. But if you have a chalk box, you have a plumb bob. They typically will center themselves just fine on your string, and they usually have the hook on there as well. So we just got a screw in there where we needed it and sent it down and shifted our beams over till they were right over our line. We of course stopped the sway, it's moving again because we got fans going, but lined us up right where we wanted to. So now the next tough task is the floor joists don't look too bad as far as level on this side. We'll probably be able to get it pretty tight, but there is quite a sag in the middle of this span over here. It is currently tight to the joists right here. So I think we'll be doing some jacking and adjusting and making that all work out. We're not trying to get an exactly perfect floor on the second floor. It's an old building. It kind of is what it is, but we will work on getting it as close as possible. So next task, work on that. Okay, so we are moving along on the getting close to level, at least, maybe not perfect. We got that side picked up, touching the bottom of the outer joist, except the very outside joist, which is about a ½ inch higher. So we are working on picking this side up here, and we're gonna grab a level because we are quite a bit out here, but we're not entirely sure what is actually level. So we'll check that as we go, get these as tight as we can. We may end up having to shim a couple of the joists up. We'll see how that works out, but so far so good. It's picking up. There's really just the weight of the floor up there itself at this point. Everything else is cleared out, so not too much work to get it up. So we'll see how close we can get this and check back in a bit. So we got the right side, or the south side, right side as I look at it, leveled, and some of the floor joists are actually still high, and part of it is because when they built this temporary wall, they just went with the flow, and there are no way we're going to get leveled up to it, so we'll just lower those down a little bit when we take the temporary walls out, and we'll be pretty much level across. The beam itself is right dead on level, so we'll just carry that same level through to the beam over here. And I bet we have a somewhat similar situation where some of them are just a little bit high because of the shoring. But in general, this side, the north side of the building, was actually a lot more level. So this will probably level up pretty nicely. And then we got some temporary supports in, and once everything is leveled out, we'll be able to cut our posts to the correct size and get those in for the permanent support. But as it is now, we are quite stable. So keep moving along. So we're prepping here to get our center post in place. Center of the beam will need to go up just a touch, but we're adding some more blocking here for good load transfer through to our new post below. So we put some blocking in right over the basement beam, and then we'll get our subfloor replaced here. We cut it back a little bit to get a good piece on each side. So we'll cut that, pop it in place, and then we will get our post in place. Alright, we are closed back in with our little custom cut piece, so get that nailed down and post time.
Wanna go up?
Yeah, you want to put just a crank. Should give us enough. Just slide it.
Got it.
Just a touch more. We'll need the 8-foot level. Got it going.
You want to put a screw in the top of that?
Hold in place.
Well, we could put a screw up. Put this one on this side. So, there. That can make a difference. Now that one's a little loose, so that one does need to go on this side. Got it. So what we should do is screw the joint. Then all we can need a screw in the top in the beam so that they're centered, and then we can pull them down.
Well, I'll hold them, go get your.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna hold it, but all works the same. they do the same thing on the floor.
Yep. Whoa. Gotta watch out where you step. There's wiggly boards. You could actually set it down and hit it with the sludge to line it up. If we load it, it may be easier to stay in place.
No, it's staying in place. It's good right there. You can drop it down.
Ooh, I heard it.
There it went.
I heard the load
Yeah,
change.
these are not going anywhere now. Well, like if we have an earthquake, they'll go somewhere. But... Okay.
Yeah, we're still up Mondays.
Yep, that's what we wanted.
Yep.
Perfect. So we got our center posts in place. The beam is now self-supporting. Our temporary supports are raised off the ground and free-floating. So to finish this up, of course, we need some better connections than just a couple deck screws. And we still need to put the secondary support posts in at each end. It's currently pocketed into the brick, but we're gonna put 4x4 posts direct onto the foundation, and then that'll be tied into our 2x4 stud walls that fur out along the walls. And then this post in the middle actually ends up in the middle of a wall out here as well. So we'll have the walls to help hold them in place in addition to just the gravity load. They're not going anywhere right now unless we have an earthquake. So we will finish up, and it'll be nice to have the first big project complete here. So that is the finished beam, mostly. We still need some connectors. We got the post in on that side and the middle, but we need to do some subfloor repairs on that side before we can get that post in. But that is just the secondary support. The brick is holding it just fine currently. And then once we took the temporary shoring out, the joists that weren't in contact with the beam already came down just fine. So we're all in good shape there now. So everything looking good and strong. We got our direct bearing down through the beam below, and then the post to the new footing. So now that that is done, things are nice and open in here, and we can get started on all of the rest of the work to come. So that wraps things up here for this video. Next time we'll be getting started on the new back wall now that the grout back there has had time to cure up, and we'll start getting that framed up to support the roof. And depending on how that goes, we'll have some more demolition work. We may jump into the interior framing in here as well. We'll see how things go. But if you enjoyed this, we would really appreciate a like and a subscription if you already haven't done so. Definitely helps a small channel like we have here. So thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next video.